Chris Rock said one of the most mild jokes ever.
It was pretty mild.
Jada
I thought
Pinkett is bald. Apparently, I didn't know this. I found out after the fact that she didn't shave her head voluntarily. She shaved her head because she's suffering from alopecia.
Yeah, I didn't know this either.
So I don't know if Chris knew this, but Chris says a joke around
G.I.
Jane 2, looking forward to it. Very mild. Just laughed and even said, "Come on, that was nice." And then Will Smith initially laughs.
Yes.
But it looked like Jada was upset. And so Will changes his tune, walks on stage, and smacks Chris Rock in the face at the Oscars. And then says, "Keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth."
Yes, he does.
And then he goes, "Come on, man, that was a G.I. Jane joke." And he screams it out like,
"Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth." Yes.
And it's like his lips were quivering. And he, first of all, that whole scene doing that in that manner, in that place, is a great example of what's wrong with the glorification of just being able to go up to someone and smack them in the face. Because that is that whole thing was so weird.
I'm going to disagree with you here.
Please do. Well, what is your take?
I want to let you.
Before
I want
take.
you to finish though.
Well, no, you said you were going to disagree with me.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I don't actually think that there's any glorification of violence in the sense of free capability on Will's part.
What do you mean by that?
Well, for one, I don't think that there was any inherent given that you could just get away with it. I think that whatever Will did, he did it, and he was like, whatever comes with it, that I'll have to own up to it.
I don't think he was thinking that far ahead at all.
Maybe he wasn't, but
I
maybe
think
he's
he was
like
being
in this
emotionally
moment,
fragile,
probably,
and he acted on impulse.
Sure,
and I think it's a foolish impulse that you do when you know there's no consequences.
I
so
don't
you're
think.
hitting
But
a
here's
very
the thing:
small
I'm going to say
person.
that I don't know that he thinks that there's now in terms of hitting Chris in terms of them and their physical differences and capability of combat. Let's say. Yes.
There's no consequences.
But I'm saying, but there's no consequences in getting out of your seat and striking somebody on national television.
Yeah, but I don't think he was thinking about that. I think he was acting
You mean
impulsively.
simply in terms of man to man and who's capable and what's capable. And you know what? That may be the case in the microcosm of things. But if you hit anybody for any reason in public at this point, you have the very real fact of all of the powers of law that be, especially depending on who you are and what the public and the cathedral thinks of you, smashing you to death until you're penniless, bankrupt, and everyone hates you.
Stop. That's not going to happen here. Like,
Probably
it was
not.
never going to happen.
Probably
he just smacked him.
But
he didn't beat the shit out of him. He didn't harm him.
But,
he smacked him in the face.
We live in a society
him.
where violence is so.
But there's no way. There's no way Will Smith's going to become penniless from smacking Chris Rock. Was never.
You wouldn't think so. You wouldn't think so.
He's extremely wealthy. It's not going to happen. And not only that, Chris Rock instantly didn't press charges. He wouldn't press charges, and he just accepted it.
I would say it should have been handled in the back, or he could have at least. He could have stood up, said something right on the spot.
But listen, no.
And not done anything about it, or
Chris
said
Rock's
it in the
doing
back.
his fucking job. You don't go and sit in the front row. You're a star at the Oscars. There's a professional comedian whose job is to roast people. That's what he's doing. And what he did was not even insulting.
It's not about.
It was a mild joke.
It's not about, what is it? It's not about giving Will Smith a pass or saying what he did was right. But what I am saying is that from his perspective, if it was that important, he could have, barring going up there and hitting Chris in front of everyone, and he could have said something if he had to do it right then and there. If he felt that it was that egregious of a remark, and I agree with you, Chris Rock's a comedian. The presenters at the Oscars are supposed to be entertainers, often crack jokes that either that they do themselves in Chris's perspective or from Chris's situation, or ones that are written for him. Chris is a comedian. I highly doubt that they don't know each other at this point, being in Hollywood for as long as they have. And in my opinion, if you really want to settle things, go do it personally. speak to the person first, give them an opportunity to apologize for things, especially if they didn't realize that what they were doing was
I hear all the
something-
things you're saying, but they're not applicable. That was not an insult. It was the most mild joke about her hairstyle
I fully
in
get
reference
it.
to a movie
I
where a
fully
lady
get
shaved
it.
her head.
I fully get it. But
Like
I'm
the
just
idea
simply
that there's
saying if
any
it-
justification
Right.
whatsoever of him getting up there and
No.
smacking him in the
No,
face like
he didn't.
that.
He didn't need to go up there and smack him at all.
No.
But regardless of what you and I think of how important or how what the weight of what Chris said was, just removing us out of the equation. If it's really that important to Jada, and therefore it then becomes important to Will, then he should deal with it on a personal level and have a conversation with Chris before anything.
Of course.
Because you have to give
Of
someone the
course.
opportunity, because one, you have to assume potentially that Chris had malicious intent in what he had to say.
Well, how do you have malicious intent in a mild joke?
Tell
There's
me
no
about
malicious,
it.
No,
I'm
it's
saying
nonsense.
I don't agree that
I'm
he
telling
did.
you, dude, this is all rational thinking about an irrational act.
It's an irrational act, but-
he was emotionally fragile and he acted on impulse in a staggeringly stupid way.
I'll tell you something.